Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L. Now let's talk Overlord episode 2. Man, okay. Alright, so before we even get into this video, I gotta come clean. I gotta make sure we all understand this. I broke so hard. I think after I saw the opening for Overlord. And in case you haven't seen the opening for Overlord, season 2 at least, it's on in the episode that I watched. I didn't see that opening, so I found it on YouTube. If you need to see the opening, go see the opening. Anyway, not the point. I broke after I saw the opening and I wondered, okay, well, what's this arc about? And I had a few hours I could spare that day. Because then I just went and I read the light novel. I caught up to, I think, volume 7. I got to volume 7. And my god, man, holy wow, I'm so excited because that's going to be amazing. Oh my god. Yeah, so I caught up. I didn't catch up to the light novel, but I read up to what this adaptation is going to be covering. And Jesus, oh, wow, man, it's ridiculous the difference in quality between what we're currently doing, this current arc, the Lizardmen arc, versus the one that comes right after. The jump in quality in terms of the story and just what the characters are doing and all kinds of shit like that. Holy man, it's much more captivating than the Lizardman arc. The Lizardman arc is still, I think, pretty good for what it tries to do, but the one that comes after that, in terms of just even there's so many little plot lines for the next one that's just gonna be amazing to just see animated. I'm very excited. Is what I'm trying to say. Very excited. I understand the hype. I see why everyone was so hyped about the Kingdom arc that's coming after this arc. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be amazing, and yeah, I can't wait. It's gonna be good. That said, holy man, I really can't stop singing the praises of it, and I really can't stop comparing the current arc to the next arc. It's gonna bias me a little bit. But hey, also, in case you also want to read the light novel, I have a link down below in the description somewhere. It links out to Amazon. They have a bunch of the light novels on there. Good enough source, and if you want to support creators, buying the original thing that the guy wrote. That's what better way to support it than that. Also, before we start talking about this episode, the ending song, I did see the ending. The ending was there. I like this image from the ending. I thought that was a very nice little use. I think you're spoiling too much, Overlord. I think you're being really, really coy there. Anyone that's paying attention is gonna notice, oh, I know what that means. I mean, most anime viewers can figure out basic symbolism and comparisons like that. Anyway, not the point. Not the point. It was just something, but I'm really excited. That's all. Guys, if you're light novel readers, let me know what you think down below. Let me know if you're excited for that as well. And yeah. Anyway, going into the episode. So this episode is mostly the Lizardmen. And there's some things that I really enjoy, or some things that I really respect out of what the writer did with the Lizardmen. Because actually, I'll get into it because I think it's really funny, but before we get into that, I just had to say the overview. The episode may be weak in some degrees because the main Overlord cast is not present or are not active players. The active players are the lizard folk. This is going to be a consistent pattern throughout the rest of the lizard folk or Lizardmen War arc. It's going to be them. It's going to be focusing on them. Now, you know, for viewers, that's gonna be slightly infuriating because you're not here for the Lizardmen. You're here for Momonga or Ainz Al Ghul and the rest of his guys. That's who you're here for. That said, the lizard folks' plight is interesting enough, and I think I said this in the last video. What this arc really tries to do, what it really needs to succeed at, is that it needs to get the viewers to care about the lizard folk. The only way this arc will work with viewers is if you care about the lizard folk, if you feel bad for what's about to happen. We need the emotional reaction to happen. So what they went about doing with this volume is just, they need to go through the gamut. They need to show why these people are worthy of your affection. And one of the things that I really respect in how the writer went about doing that was that he took advantage of the fact that these are not humans, and because of that he could shoehorn in, or he could accelerate one of the plot lines that would make people enamored with characters. that being relationships. In the episode, there's a big thing that happens with the guy doing a mating call, which I thought was hilarious, a little like mating squeak at the beginning, and then him talking that it was love at first sight when he met the albino lizard man or lizard lady. Actually, should I say what characters were introduced here? I mean, well, we all saw the episode. We all saw what was going on. We all saw that we had our main guy, the guy of the frost pain and his hydra, and the white albino charmed person who was a cannibal in the past. We all saw that. Not important. What's more important is the technicality here. So back to this. They use the excuse, or not the excuse. Excuse makes it seem like it's cheaper, but you know, they use the reasoning. These aren't normal people, so it is actually totally within lines to accelerate them through a love plot. If this was humans and you had a human like being like, "Oh, it was love at first sight," you know, people in viewers are going to be like taking the piss of that and just saying like, no, that's funny. That's, although like in the Western world, most action movies accelerate love lines like that, taking advantage of the fact that these are animals and then making it seem like they're in heat and then like they just lose control. Like we had a little segment where he just approached her really quickly and she's like, "How could you do that?" And he's like, "You know what just happened?" And it's like, that makes sense. I know that animals get crazy when they get in heat. So seeing little things like that and seeing that he's already so devoted to this lady after meeting her once, it makes more sense when I consider that it's a lizard. And I really respect that. That was, I think, one of the best ways to excuse just rushing through a romantic relationship. That using biology and then linking it to people's perceptions of what we know about animals, that they don't really have reasons when it comes to mating. I think that was a really brilliant move on the writer's part. It's just now a question of whether or not the romance is going to be good enough to get people to feel bad for these people. The premise of the romance, I love it. Now it's all about the execution. And you know, like another prop to give to the Overlord team, the ones that adapted this, is that they took advantage of the cues that the animals do to show their interest, right? We see the mating squawk of the lizard man, and then we see how their tails are thumping everywhere. We can already, like, as viewers, we can see that we understand, oh, that's a cue that he's really into her. And it's just little things like that make you feel like, oh, interesting, right? It's like those little details make it better for the people who can notice those little details, because then they can like build these little scenes with characters that are only introduced in one volume and have that volume pretty much centered on them. Little details like this make up for us not knowing their past histories, because the little details give us enough to work with. And in that aspect, like I really do think this volume was an interesting exercise in seeing how well you can execute on entirely new characters who are being hastened through a plot line that's designed to make you feel bad for them. And as we get to the end, where we see the bigger lizard man, and you know, when our guy travels to the other village, the Dragon Tusk village, I believe, and he has his girl in tow, he has his Hydra in tow, and he meets another person who also has the traveler symbol on him. As a reader of the series, and I see that character being introduced, I get really excited, because I think that character, he's going to be a great source of comedy. And we already see a little bit of it here when he's making the comment about like the grass monster that came with Zaryusu. Sorry guys if I mispronounced, my tongue isn't going to make that sound very properly today. Zaryusu. Yeah, anyway, like that little joke there was just, it reminded me of how funny this little trio is going to be. And wherever you have humor, right? Wherever there's humor, there's going to be the opportunity to make people fall more in love with characters, because laughter is a pretty good way to get to people's affections. So once he's introduced and once he starts interacting with the other two, it's going to be pretty pleasant experience at the very least, and I'm very confident saying that. I'm excited to see how these characters interact, and I can't wait to see more of them. Now let's see, it's just like, otherwise, the episode is largely based just on the history and background of the lizard folk. And again, this is one thing that we'll constantly see. They have to go through this so quickly because they need to get to the point where the characters can start winning over the readers and or viewers. So, Seeing what they did here, you know, they streamlined the history enough. They made it understandable. We understand the cannibalism. We understand the sacrifices that were done in the lizard folk. We understand the turmoils that the lizard folk have when it comes to food. These are all little plot lines that are going to be in the background, but are going to be referenced on and are like relatively big parts of the characters' histories. And then you also have Zaryusu's character development, or not character development, but character exhibition, where you understand what this guy's about, and he's pretty much the rallying force. He is the rallying force going around to get all the villages together because he's able to figure out certain things about the plan. The next thing that we have to also appreciate in technicality is that the Overlord team is setting this up in such a way that it's as if it's it's wanting a reaction from the lizard folk. The lizard folk are given numbers of their execution orders, and that information there, that by itself was enough to make Zaryusu think, okay, everyone else is going to be targeted as well because there's an order to this. If we could get everyone together, maybe we can do something about it. And then he also points out other things like our people are not going to have a good life if we have to evacuate. It's just not going to work out. And little things like that just makes you appreciate the character. Already the show wants to push him out there as this guy who is competent, honorable, and sensible. Those are really good qualities, and most people will like competent characters. Whenever a character is being competent and well spoken, the odds that people dislike that character very low, very low. Anyway, I think this arc was a very interesting experiment in seeing how well someone can get people to like entirely new characters and feel bad for them. And so little things like this, little things that we see in this episode are just some of the strokes of that experiment. And I on some level, I respect that wholeheartedly. That said, in comparison to the next arc, this one does pale in comparison. But hey, that doesn't matter to you guys, the viewers, because you should be enjoying this in general. It's either you enjoy this and keep watching or you don't. But what I'm trying to say is that this may not be your cup of tea because of what was going on with these characters, but it's building for the future. And the future of Overlord is one that pays off readers who stick with it, or viewers that stick with it. So guys, let me know what you thought down below. Let's end it there. I really love this episode of Overlord, just for the technicality of it. And I'm excited to see what you guys have to say. Also, light novel readers, how excited are we? Sorry, I'm just newly inducted and now I'm pretending like I've been here the whole time with you guys. I haven't, but it's still pretty exciting. Anyway, till next time, have a good day. Bye-bye.